Good evening everyone, welcome to another tournament stream. This time we are streaming the second day of the professionals for the Asia server. Now, I'll tell you beforehand 3 things. 1, I apologize for any brain derp I might have. 2, if you want to get season coins for watching this, you need to watch through the portal, not through YouTube. And the 3rd thing I actually forgot, which is like perfect. But let's go to this. Basically, we need to wait for the room invite that will be coming soon. I will be streaming Feast tonight, and if you want to watch, let's have a quick look because my brain is absolutely perfect. I need to check my own announcement for this, but Fugit is also streaming, so if you want to watch... There we go. If you want to watch... EA versus E7 or RN versus Calm, which is round 2, you need to go to Fugit's channel. He is streaming those today. Now, only the coin stream is currently advertised in the game. That does not mean it is the only stream. I will be announcing all tournament streams on my server. So keep an eye out there, and basically you can keep track of everything, because if you watch the coin stream you will get season coins, but you can always mute that and then actually in another tab or on another device watch the stream you actually want to stream. So keep that in mind and we'll see how it all will go. But like I said, if you want to watch, if you want to get coins for watching this, you need to watch through the portal. My moderators will be posting the link quite often in the chats. And make sure that you are logged in on the portal. That's also saying that if you are not from the Asia server, you obviously can't get coins for this stream because it's only for the Asia server. The EU streams and the NA streams will be the same thing, but then for their own servers, so yeah. In 3.5 minutes we get to go into the first game of this stream. And we are starting it off on Middleburg. Middleburg looks like this. You have 3 bases, 2 in the town, 1 in the hills. Position-wise, the hills are so much better, but when it's supremacy, you are kind of obligated to try and dominate 2 bases. That is why, and as you can see, Feast in the background, taking quite a heavy lineup, because super heavies can really dominate this map by taking those 2 city bases. The thing is that you have to be careful not to get pincered, which is something that can happen quite easily on a map like Middleburg, especially when the other team starts at sea and then flanks around to get into the town and basically picking you off where you stand. So that is the map we are starting on. I actually used to like the old Middleburg a lot better than the one that we have now. The one that we have now is a lot more predictable. That being said though, when you have a team play like this, pretty much anything can happen, because when you are a team, you are 7 players that are on voice together, that are talking, giving each other information, there's a caller and everything. Basically you can go anywhere with any lineup. That is why I generally don't say what I think they're gonna do, because there's no use in me trying to predict that, because they can do whatever the hell they want. So just over 2 minutes before we go into the game. Feast is completely readied up with a VK, 2 mice, and 2 IS4s, potentially Elio, but that might change now, and an E100. So that's a lot of heavy things. Thing is though, when you have a heavy lineup like this, you need at least 1 medium, because otherwise you have 1 heavy that will start in the hills. And if that is a tank like the mouse, the chance that it will arrive actually where you want it to, go, it will take ages for it to get there. So yeah. Understandable that they're taking at least 1 medium because of that. This is something that people often forget. You need that. You have those 2 spawns, and it differs per map how many tanks per spawn there will be for sure. But it will always be at least 1 tank in the medium spawn, which in this case is spawn 2. So you need that medium for that. And Calm has almost completely ready up. They still have a minute to do so. That is quite enough time. And they are now ready up with a Sheridan, 2 mice, 2 E5s and 2 113. So more mobility there, less heavy armor. But we'll see what's going on. In the meantime, Kiwi just came into the chat and said, "Let's go Legion." Not quite the right server. But I will happily tell that in the second match of tonight, which is Feast versus my own E7, I say my own because I'm actually in that clan with my Asia account, we will be seeing Nube. And for those who have watched my streams for the EU server, Nube is a bit of a meme at the moment because you have the giant donut there and that is basically Legion's deity. So I'm all for that. Hello everyone that's watching, by the way. I hope you're having a good weekend so far. Hope that you're staying healthy and staying home and staying safe basically. But here we go into the match in 3 seconds. And we'll see the first match. Let's go. One-on-three is actually a tank that I literally bought yesterday. I tested it very long time ago, but I haven't actually played it since and haven't grinded it since. But with the time 5 certificates, I actually grinded the line like really fast, and that's actually quite helpful. Let's see. And as expected, we see that. Oh, we see actually one of... This is what I mean. One of the mice actually started in the hills. That is not how you want things to be. Oof. Now the Sheridan is in the base. Bruni is deciding not to deal with that. And we see the E5s and the mouse holding. Coco now also moving. He might have potentially been AFK, not sure. And the mice are pushing. This is basically what you can expect with a heavy lineup like this. Kinoko, primary target here. Can't really move anywhere without being shot at this stage. That is a big hit into Maddox though. The E5s are behind there. Sleeping Lion also losing a little bit of HP. Kinoko now in an excellent holding position. And the E5s are in hold down positions. We see Bruni at the back, losing quite a bit, wanting to not be there, but he's in big trouble now. And basically Feast is pushing, and they kind of have to, because with their Leo behind they are going to lose a tank. And they need to make sure, oof, it's actually Mugu that is lost first. And Bruni is not going to be that far behind. He made it to the city, just don't ask how. Sleeping Lion not looking too healthy either. Taichon is gone. And Feast is still pushing, but they've both lost 2 tanks right now. And HP wise, Calm has an advantage. And now they also have a gun advantage. Basically, Feast was too hesitant to push, and it's pretty much costing them this game. Big hit. There goes Maddox. 2 gun advantage for Calm. And Calm is staying perfectly calm in this. Kiki is pushing in with his mouse, but arriving potentially too late, because CX is already steadily being murdered. And with him being tracked, that makes him easy pickings, because the E100 is not quite as armored as the mouse. And now it is 4-3 versus 2. But HP wise, there's a massive advantage for Calm. So they're going to be able to take this home quite easily. Especially when that shot does not pen. Sheridan arriving behind the mouse. That's going to be ugly. And there he goes. And now only Frost is left. Versus 3 very healthy tanks. This would be like the most epic color ban you could think of. But that's not going to happen. And it's not even Hermit that takes it home. Leaving a tiny bit of HP. But the 113, there you go. Chichiro taking out Frost, and the first match is for Calm. And that is the first game. Look at the difference in damage. This was... Feast were starting it so well with that push. Only they didn't continue pushing. They basically just waited. Match just lasted just over 3 minutes. But that is the risk if you are using so many super heavies. You need to take advantage of anything you can. A 1.5 minutes left to go before we go into this second match. And then we will see what's going to happen. No pressure just yet. This is the best of 7. So the first team to reach 4 victories is the one that gets the point for the team for the matchup. So nothing is any issue right now. Let's see. Feast now ready with the VK, a Leo, 2 E5s, a Sheridan and 2 IS4s. Potentially because that mouse started in the hill, so they are taking 2 meds. It would be weird though if one side had 1 med in med spawn and the other side has 2. And on the other side we now see a very different lineup. We see an E50M, an IS4, 2 mice, 2 E100s and a Yay Gay. So that is a very heavy lineup, and I wouldn't be surprised if they will try to do what Feast did last game and see if it works any better. Ten seconds left to go before we go into the match. Here we go. Countdown clock has started. And it will be, I hope the guys are not having any lag, by the way, because that has been a giant issue for the Asia server all around. And Wargaming keeps saying that it's not them, it's you. But you can't really tell me that 14 people at the same time can experience lag from different countries with different providers, and then it's not the server. But hey. Let's see. Almost starting. That is a pretty camo on the VK though. And now we see Medals going off alone towards base A. And he's probably gonna get absolutely hammered there, but he's staying back. They're not going for the base. Whereas Feast is all going into the hills. When they don't really need to, because everyone from Calm is down below. Bruni and Boongu taking the base. They will have a point advantage, assuming that base A does not get kept. And Calm is pushing in now, getting hit from the hills. And Maddox is basically there. He's not necessarily cannon fodder, but he's there to keep them spotted. But they will get a base here. And he does take a tiny bit of damage there. And base A, that was 7 damage to the E100. That's not really how you want to do it though. Maddox taking a bit more damage. He has to be a little bit more careful now. Especially since they have the base. Calm does not need to take any chances. They can just get away with holding, waiting for Feast to make a move. And this is exactly what I meant. Lag all around. Not sure if Calm has it too, or if it's just Feast. Maddox has to be careful. He does take a hit there. But he's basically in the same position that the enemy mouse was in last game. And it's a good position. Frost moving in. Feast has to make a move, because they're already over 100 points ahead. Frost having been spotted taking a side scraping position there. And we see that, oof, big hit into Frost there. I'm actually, there you go. And now Calm is sort of like turning around. We see Maddox moving in. They need those bases, but they have to be careful. CX now in a position that Frost was in before. They're sort of side scraping from each other. Maddox set on fire, it looks like. And they are stealing base A now. But this is very tricky, and they left it pretty late. But as long as they're in the base, they're not going to be getting any points for base A. Bruni losing HP. Basically now we are entering a sort of brawl. Base A has been kept, but they kind of need base B too. And they are pretty spread out. They need to move in, they need to take out that E50M. There he goes, that is the first gun out. Frost not doing too good here. in a very tough position. There goes Shichiro. Base A is being stolen again. Frost still alive. He kind of has to stay. Yege about to get. No sleeping line. You need to cap that base. And we have Bruni moving in. Yege steadily being destroyed now. There he goes. We have the IS-4. That is turning back. Wanted to get shots into the guys in base B. We are 900 points now. As long as Faust stays alive, they should have this. There goes the IS-4. There goes the mouse. And with that kill, it carries Faust over the 1k barrier and they win the second match. But that was so close. And this was basically focus fire. Calm lacked focus fire. There were so many one-shots on Faust's side. And they all survived. Even Maddox, who should have been dead like pretty early in the game. But very well played by Faust. Keeping themselves alive. Using the buildings as cover to get the blip away. And we are now moving on to Canal. It's actually one of my favorite maps because it's one of the bigger maps. You have 4 bases, C and B closest to their respective spawns, D on the mat side, A on pretty much the camper side. Basically we see some great actions in this map with teams going towards, from the red spawn here, going to A and B and basically keeping base C from being capped, which basically let them dominate most of the map. So it can be very tricky, this map. I do love it, but I do think that it will be frustrating to try for this when you have when you're in the tournament. 50 seconds left to go. Faust now completely readied up with 2 IS-4s in STB, 2 E5s is shared in T22 medium. And Calm not yet decided who's going to be their 7th player. And there we go. They are readied up in a Sheridan, a Leo, an IS-7, an E5, an AMX-50B, a Mouse and a 113. So that's a very, whatchamacallit, a nice variation of a lineup because no tank twice. You don't see that often though, especially with the AMX-50B because the clippers work so much better when you have them as a team because they can clip tanks together. And that is something that you kind of miss with this. And here we go. Let's see. Again, no real pressure. Both teams only have 1 victory and the one that comes to 4 victories first is the one that takes it home. So plenty of time and plenty of matches left. Also, remind me, well actually no, you can't remind me because there's a 5-minute delay, but I will tell you about Faust's name after this match. Because there's a pretty fun story to that, and a double meaning. Yeah, this is exactly what I meant. But Calm is actually not heading for the bases at all, they're heading towards base C. The mice might actually reset them, if they're not careful. But they're keeping together, so you can't really reset both of them. Sleeping Lion taking a little bit of damage there, but as long as they're kept together, there you go. Blind shot into the base, where they expect the other one to be, but there's not no one there. Faust has been spotted, so they are careful at the back. The mice taking a little bit of damage there. But pretty much all of Calm is nearing base T, and that could be very tricky for them. Because they're basically, Faust is in better positions at this stage. And we see some missiles and we see some hits. Oh, Taichon not doing too good there. Faust now crossing over. This is something that I would not do because now you get basically a cluster. And that can be very dangerous. Especially with the clipper now fully ready to move in as well. Hermit taking a big shot into Mugu there. And the IS-7 is still alive. Bruni. The mouse now even arriving. The IS-7 is finally taken out. Sleeping Lion wants to go after the Leo. Leo is gone though. And basically they're in trouble. Frost not looking too healthy. He's the next one to be gone. Unless he gets some miraculous bounces, but he doesn't. And basically this is sort of like a fuckfest. So I can't really call it anything else. Tanks are disappearing left and right. It will be all about the focus fire. G9 still alive, but barely. And Taichon does not shoot G9. G9 is going to be dead to the Sheridan. Oh no, he does not. And Bruni missing. There goes G9. It is 4 versus 3. CX not looking all too healthy. Taking another hit from the AMX. We have Sheridan versus Sheridan over here. Bruni is now a one-shot, so that is something that they need to be careful about. He will need the help from his team. CX being taken out here. Base D being kept. It is 3 versus 3. Oh! How did that not pen? That is a very, very lucky Bruni. And he will reload faster. So as long as he makes sure to hit this. And he misses! Oh my god! Sleeping Lion barely alive. Maddox still very much healthy. He takes out. It will be Maddox versus a Sheridan and the mouse. And that could be very tricky. Because missiles. He just has to survive at this stage. Sheridan arriving at the back and then that bounce. Oh my god, Maddox. He has to be careful. Basically the Sheridan should be his preferred target, but the Sheridan is playing it smart. And Maddox has to make sure that every shot counts at this stage. And now we are going to see some missile work, I think. Maddox taking a hit there. There you go. The mouse is not yet a one-shot. But he needs to take out that Sheridan. And that is very... Oh no! Those two missed shots by... There you go. Taking out that missed shot from Sheridan, from Bruni. On the other Sheridan. And this missed shot on the Sheridan as well. That is basically cost them the game. But that was so close. Look at the difference in damage being done. This is basically exactly... Wow. This was... Faust went in when they didn't really need to. They tossed away quite a bit of HP pushing over. And Calm just happily abused that. They were pushing up and over themselves. But we're being a bit careful with their push. Wow. Just over a minute left to go before we go to the second match on Canal. I always get these nightmarish images that I might have left a map on the stream or anything, but luckily I didn't. And Feast is now ready with 2 IS-4s, an STB, a Sheridan, 2 T-22 mediums and an E5, so we're getting more pay-to-win tanks. Officially it doesn't count as that, but in tournaments I still feel that it does. And on Calm's side we are seeing a Sheridan, a Leon IS-7, the AMX-50B, an E5, an IS-4 and potentially another IS-4. They still have 40 seconds to decide what exactly they want though, so that's plenty of time. AMX also potentially being changed. Or maybe just a loadout, we don't know. And basically now we just have to wait about half a minute before we go into the match. And there you go, it's in IS-4. But this is sort of like the tricky thing with the Asia server overall, especially when you have a laggy server, which is not exactly helping. And here we go into the fourth match of this matchup. And let's see what happens now. Again, still no pressure. And here we go. Let's see. And to be fair, it was a really close game last game. But those two misses. especially by Bruni, because that allowed the Hermit to do so much more damage. And we see all the fast tanks pushing up and over, but the rest of the heavies is coming. They are taking base D. And we hear a gun going off, but no damage has been done yet. Base B has not been taken. AMX has been shot. Base D. Basically, Feast has a tiny point advantage here. And they're more or less in holding positions. The T-22s need to be careful there. The E5 is arriving. But there's gonna be a rush here. Again, Calm is sticking all together. And Feast has to be more careful this time. IS-7 getting shot quite badly. TM Revolution in trouble. Oh, Sleeping Lion getting pretty much hammered there. They need to take those guns out. They need to take out that Clipper, but it's actually Sleeping Lion that goes first. G9 now in a very tricky position. He's not going to be able to make this. He might survive for another shot, but that's about it. And G9 is the next one taken out. CX has a Leo in his bum. That's not gonna go well. The rest of Feast is now arriving pretty healthy. But they will have to take out guns very fast because they have a 2-gun disadvantage here. And Mugu in the SCB is on his own. And Mugu is running off. And he might survive a little bit longer. But it will be tricky. There goes the AMX. Siam Revolution still alive. Mugu arriving. There he is taken out. It is 4 versus 3 now. Feast is putting the game back towards them. But they have to be careful. They need to take out that Leo. He is at this point. Oof, that was a big hit there. There you go. Leo is gone. Now we have an E5 and an IS-4. And it is the E5 that is the preferred target. And they are ignoring the IS-4 completely and taking out. This is exactly how I know Feast. This is what sets them apart on the Acer server. This focus fire that we were missing last game. And Chichiro is suddenly being destroyed. And there he goes. And this game is for Feast. Teleporting tanks does not make for an easy game though. I actually have no idea if the other team is experiencing that. But look at this, 4.7k damage, 4.2k damage for the Sheridan and the STB. And in this case, I thought for a moment there, to be fair, that Feast would be murdered. And that had everything to do with the fact that they... that it took so long for the rest of the team to arrive. But it worked out. So now we are going to Dynasty's Pearl, or as I like to call it, the Panda map. And you have base A in the head of the panda, base B in the chest of the panda, and base C on the round belly of the panda. Basically, position-wise, I much prefer the base C area, but with super heavies, it can be easy to take A and B, especially when you have a match like this in a tournament with the team and everything. Basically, it depends on which side you want to go. B and C are easier to dominate together. At the same time, A is generally safer, and there's lines of fire from the temple kind of thing into base B and C as well, but you just have to be careful. So, we'll just have to see where they go with it in 45 seconds. And Feast has ready up in 3 IS-4s, and 140, a Sheridan, a Mouse, and an E5, and they're going to go up against a very heavy lineup. With a Sheridan, 3 mice and 3 E100s. This is something that, yes, it can potentially work well, but it can also really work against you because it takes you forever to get anywhere in these tanks. Aside from the Sheridan. But that's literally the only speed that you have. So let's see, 10 seconds before we go into the 5th game of this best of 7. And after this, the pressure will be on one of the teams To be fair, the more matches we get, the happier I am as streamer, because it will keep me from having to show you a bunch of replays. And here we go. And in this case, like, yes, super heavies can work wonders on this map. But they do lack the mobility, they do lack the DPM. And we'll see how it works out for them. Here we go. And the thing is, you can sort of like restart your modem or your router between matchups, but not like in the games itself, because you only have 2 minutes before you start again. So we have Bruni heading towards base A, meeting the Hermit there, and Mugu moving straight on in to cap base C, and that will give an early advantage for Feast in form of points. And most of the mice, and most of the super heavies to be fair, are pretty much hanging around base C, and that is tricky. Oof, nice hit. And we have the Sheridan the Hermit going around the back. Or maybe not. Feast has a serve at this point. They have the advantage. They just need to be careful not to get shot. Especially Maddox. There you go. Because he can get shot from base B. Now base A is being capped. And this basically gives Feast the advantage. Because they can make a move. But they're not doing that. They can't really move into base B either. Because there's too many guns there. Kotori is taking some damage at the back there. And that bounced. Frost taking a bit of damage. Feast has about a 100 point advantage though, so it will depend on what Calm does. They will have to make a move either for base B, base D, or for Feast as a whole. More shots being fired, and every time he's spotted he gets shot in return. But overall, not much is happening. This is pretty much a stalemate, and it will be up to Calm to break it. And we see Calm. They have been spotted crossing over, so Feast knows that they're going to have tanks behind them. And this is actually nice, because you see Miserable and Frost now turning around, taking different positions. 140 is meeting the Sheridan at the back. I'm going to... Basically, Calm is now making a move into base B. The Sheridan has almost reloaded, but he has Frost on his tail. Feast is moving in. Base B has been capped. And Mugu is primarily focusing on the Sheridan, but oh, he lost a ton of health there. He has to be more careful, because they kind of need all the guns. Especially with... I can't even see who that is. Miserable in the middle there. Mugu is almost gone, but it's Kotori that disappears first. And we have Haru here, who is next in line to go. And so far Feast has all survived. The Hermit is finally gone. Miserable still absorbing the damage. There goes Frost, the first Feast gun to go. And now Taichung. It is 6 versus 3. And all 3 are here. There you go, Revolution taken out. We have a mouse and an E100 left. And they don't have enough guns to take out all these Feast guns in time, especially with the low HP targets, keeping themselves safe. Mugu still getting a shot in from there, despite being such a one-shot. And Feast already has it based on points. And Kinoko gets to live. Kinoko gets to stay alive. And this was... I'm very surprised that Miserable stayed alive with the way that he pushed in. But he was basically bouncing a hack lot. Let's actually have a look if you can see that. He only bounced 3, but that's kind of saying something, because that just... They weren't really shooting at him then. So now it is 3-2, so the pressure is a little bit more on Calm now, because Feast only has to win 1 more match to get the point, and Calm has to win 2 in a row in order to get that point. So just over a minute left to go. And I kind of hope that the guys from Feast will restart their modems and routers, because even though my internet shows me it's fine, it does somehow help when I have lag most of the time. And it's just weird though, because so many people are experiencing lag at the same time. I definitely don't think that is up to the players, especially not with so many people calling it. But now we have Feast ready for the second match on Dynasty Spirals with 2 E100s, 3 IS4s, a Sheridan and a Mouse, and they're going to go up against a Sheridan, 3 IS4s, 2 Mice and E100s. So that's a very similar lineup. The only difference is that Calm is taking 2 Mice instead of E100s and only 1 E100. So we are ready in 10 seconds. Here we go. Let's have a look. And see what happens. So far the games have seemed a bit chaotic to me, but Feast has managed to grab some of the games back very nicely. And this, just look at this. I really like this sort of mirror image of the lineups. And here we go. Let's see what happens this time around. Feast now heading towards the... Basically we see a mirror of what happened before. Brody potentially in trouble already. Has to be careful. He does take a hit. He lands one in return. And he's getting the blip out of there, which is a good call. No bases are being kept right now. And we have the Mice and the IS4s pretty much spreading out throughout the city. Base A now being kept. Bruni is going to take base C, no doubt about that. Taking a position where he is as safe as possible. Maddox taking a hit. The Mouse taking a hit as well. And in this case it will be Calm that has a point advantage, but it will be less than a tank's worth. And we saw a missile fly there, but it didn't pen. Maddox being a little bit not careful enough though. A big hit, but not penning. And now the E100s are potentially in trouble. Getting flanked by the IS4. Getting hit by the Sheridan. Massive hits into Taichon there. They are pushing. All of Feast is pushing. But they have to be careful. Mugu is not looking too healthy. He's going to be gone very soon. He is the first gun gone. And that hit not penning by Maddox is also very telling and very big trouble for Feast potentially. Haru not looking too healthy. But he survives another round. There he goes. Maddox not looking too healthy either. Faust in trouble with his HP. There goes Frost, there goes Maddox. It is 4 versus 6. And Taijon is still alive. Surviving a lot longer than he should. Bruni taking another hit, but he's not going to survive this. And the guns are staying alive too long on Calm side. They are not taking out the one shots. And they're wasting too much time trying to aim for the shot that is basically blocked by multiple tanks. Taijon still alive, but it is 2 versus 6. This is not going to go well for Feast. CX taking damage just to get behind, just to take out Taichon. And he is now in big trouble. Miserable can't carry this all alone. And those bounces are very important here. Let's actually take you a little bit closer. And now only Miserable is left. And he won't be able to take them all out. Especially not with the Mouse angling like this. Hermit getting behind. Taking a nasty hit there. And this game will be for calm and we get a tiebreaker. Epic, yes. And it will be all dependent on the next game. And honestly, I don't know if Calm is having these server issues as well. But this was a very chaotic push. And basically, Calm just absorbing it very well. So we are now going to my favorite map in the whole game, which is Faust. You have 4 bases. Base C and D close to their respective spawns with lines of fire into each other. Base B in the middle, base A considered the map base. You have the bridges, you have the tunnels and everything. It is a very unpredictable map. And it will be very much fun to see what is going on here. And what they're gonna do. With just over a minute left to go, we have Faust that has ready up in 3 IS4s, 2 Leos and an E5 in the T20 medium. And they're going to go up against 1 Leo, 2 IS4s, a mouse, 1 E5, a 215B and potentially a 140. That is if he readies up with this. Let's see. There you go, a 140 it is. So that is still quite a bit of time left before we go into the match, but still. This is a tiebreaker though, which means that we've sort of had like the max battles for this matchup, which for me as streamer is fun, for them not so much. Also, I promise you to explain the term wargaming. This has to do with the paywall, with the premium tanks and all of that in tier 10. That basically you either have to get very lucky or be very rich in order to get them. And also because with last update, wargaming basically blocked out all the areas where you could push a tank up. So we've actually had tournament matches where people tried to get a tank up a space and it wasn't possible anymore, but they didn't know that. So if you're a competitive team and you do use these push tactics to get a tank into a certain place, be sure to check beforehand if that is actually still possible. And here we go into the final match of this matchup, the tiebreaker. Let's see. Faust is not a happy camper, which is understandable. And here we go. We have the Leo 40 from Calm heading towards base A. Mugu in the Leo going there as well, but it's actually Bruni that is going along with Frost into base D. And Mugu is basically just waiting. Base C and D are both being taken. B and A so far ignored. And Bruni is turning around to get the blip out of there. Lots of fire happening, no damage having been done yet. And we have Mugu and Hermit potentially having the same thought here. And Hermit is moving in. But he's not going to be able to spot anyone there. Actually, no, they do spot each other. And Mugu actually takes a bit of hit. For the rest, Faust is holding. They have a tiny point advantage, reaching that points just a split second before Calm does. But that is a very close call that you don't really want, though. And for the rest, people are just holding. Not much is happening. Some people are spotted, but no damage is being done to them yet. CX knows he's been spotted. Blind fire into that side. And a move will have to be made at some point. Overall, the only one that's lost any HP is Mugu. And we've sort of like... Ooh. Let's just take a turnabout. You now see Calm responding, regrouping, expecting a push at base A. Sleeping Lion pushing in a little bit, but not quite. I wanted to get lines of fire, and he actually hits the snow there. Frost has moved into a more forwards position, but this would mean that base B is actually open to cap. And Frost is now being singled out. They are pushing him, or attempting to. And the Leo there. Now Feast is responding, and this is something that is dangerous because you're pushing in through open plains. And the Leo is a very juicy target. So basically now we have 4 tanks on 3, and they're not really focusing on the same target. There goes Taichan. There goes Bruni. They've exchanged one tank for another. Frost, either lagging or having been tracked. He is not looking too healthy. He is going to be gone. There you go. And again, they've exchanged one tank for the other. Mugu, not looking too healthy. He's not going to survive this. But he does get another shot in first. Just don't ask how. Mugu is still alive, but there he goes. Hermit, not looking too healthy either. And it is 4 versus 4. But Feast has a tiny bit of an HP advantage here. Miserable. Now in a very tricky position. And he is the next one out. TM Revolution should be the next tank that is gone. You have the T-22. They kind of have to. There you go. Sleeping Lion. Pushing up and over. The IS-4 coming. And basically they need to focus on this mouse because that is the closest target that they have. CX not shooting the mouse could potentially be a problem here, especially when he loses HP. Maddox using the corpse to not get shot from the other side. And the mouse almost gone. The 140 now pushing in. And there goes the mouse. It is 3 versus 2. Feast should have this, but they need to be careful. They just need to focus on the guns that are straight there. They don't need to shoot that 140 yet. Sleeping Lion. CX not getting damage there is very important. And now it's only the Clover that is left. And he is still alive. But they take him out. And Feast takes home this point. Despite all the lag. And that is the first matchup of tonight. That was, well, to be fair, a bit frustrating to watch. But overall, good games, good pushes, good absorbing pushes. Nearly 5 minutes that game. And I like that Feast actually played it a bit more careful. Aside from a little bit of focus fire issues, that was very well played. So that is the first matchup of the night gone. Let's have a look if we know how the rest is doing yet. Considering this was a tiebreaker, hopefully we will already know. We are still missing some points though. Let's see how my other team did. They took it home tonight. And we will be seeing them versus Feast next. And that it will have been streamed by Fugit. So that will be will have been someone to watch too. So yeah, in 20 minutes thereabouts, we are going into the next game of this lineup. Kiwi just said, the server hamsters have died from obesity. And yeah, he might be right there. But let's see, I have some replays for you guys. Let's have a look. Because I think I actually got a nice one in PM, but I haven't downloaded it yet. Basically, I have a channel on my server if you want to send me replays. And that is generally the best way to go. Because it will mean that it does not get lost in my PM thing. Let's see, what have I got for you? Let's start with a game in the waffle. If it actually starts. There we go. And it's actually from the Acer server, which also is something that I enjoy doing if I can. Let's see. This is a tank I don't really get along with, to be fair. It's something that it doesn't work for me. I love the grill, but just the waffle and I just don't get along. So let's see what it's going to do with this. Let's see. That camo looks great on the E5, to be fair. This is a camo I have unlocked on all tanks. It was a gift from Wargaming at some point. I actually don't like the camo either. It's too orange for me. I am Dutch, and that is basically the Kingdom of Orange. It's our national color, but as a color, I don't actually like it. Except for like in sunset colors, that kind of stuff. So he's basically in a camping position, but there's no one there to spot for him. Someone's taking a blind shot there, but there's no one there. And I actually like... Ooh, target. He just has to be careful. He can't actually hit that one. And there's more people behind there. Because you hear that there were 3 shots there and the FE will have only fired 2. Because they were too fast behind one another. And this is something I like. A lot of people stay in one spot with CDs. And you don't need to, especially when you have a tank that is as mobile as the waffle. Conqueror has already been taken out. He is taking a base. That is also a good call. It is somewhat less important in pub battles. Well, actually, no. Depending on the game, it can be less important in pub battles. But it generally isn't. Nice shot. You always have to keep in mind that he didn't fire HE for that one. Which is a good call because the FE was actually driving and driving fast. You have to keep in mind that HE flies more slowly than any other shell type. So it is easier for your enemy to avoid getting shot by you if you are shooting HE. It does do more damage, and if you have a safe shot, definitely take it, but just keep in mind that that is the weakness of HE. And now the E5 is actually blocking the shot from the waffle. But they should have him. Oof. How did that not pen? There we go. And the convoy just fired. That's also like a safe shot to take. And there we go. That's another one gone. Now we have an IS-7 arriving. But playing it quite carefully. And they will have to make a move at some point. There you go. Nice, patiently played. I approve. And now they kind of need to make a move. They need to not be here. No HE there either. He actually shot heat at a waffle. And that is not something that you see all that much. IS-7 arriving. And he actually only takes a shot from the KPF there. That's lucky. But they kind of do have to be careful though, because the waffle is so HE-able. need to focus fire. This is actually something that is very helpful. The convoy arriving to help deal the damage, and that being a higher roll is definitely helpful. So now he's asking for help, potentially to go after the waffle, which is a good call. Because if VK is slow, it will take him forever to get anywhere. And the waffle is not. And you actually heard something hit the ground there, so they were being fired at. But where did the waffle go? Enemy team has the point advantage, so they kind of have to... Oh, there's the waffle. And that's the end of the waffle. So now there's only the VK. Let's see. No one is there. He is taking... This is actually quite nice. He's speaking backwards. Which, in case of the waffle, doesn't really matter much because the waffle is very achievable to begin with. But it does allow him to pull back, or at least pull forward faster, and to get out of harm's way. And there we go. Now we know where he is. And the VK is pretty much wanting to go after the convoy, I think, not after the waffle. Not sure what he's doing. Not sure he knows what he's doing. Because in this case, the waffle doesn't need to take any trouble at all. But if the convoy can land another hit, that would be grand. 7.8k damage into it now. Come on, convoy. Shoot him. Oh my god, that was so close though. That would have been 8k. I don't think there's actually... Well, in some cases, yes. But overall, there's not one tank that is better than the other tank. 770 points also. That is a lot. Very nicely done. 1969 basic speed. Damn proud. But yeah, there's not really any tank better than the other, because in this case I don't like the waffle, but I do like the drill, and for other people will be the other way around. So let's see, that's another game. Let's see, I can show you at least one more. Oh, let's show you this one. I know how it ends because I've seen the screenshot. But supposedly it's very, very epic, so... I haven't actually watched... I try not to watch any of the replays that I get sent beforehand, so that my reactions on the stream are genuine. You also know me by now, probably, that I'm not that easily too excited about what's happening. Let's see... A lure with a... pumpkin. Let's see what he does. And he's just derping with the ammo. Thing is that this is something I kind of want to make a video about. I'm so behind on videos, to be fair, but there's a bunch of things that I would want to make a video about, but I'm not actually able to. Because I lack the... I basically lack the video material for it. Because in this case, I would like to make a video about sounds and everything. Because you can... If you are listening to a game with audio and you have it on relatively loud, you can tell a lot by the game, from the game, just by hearing how the guns sound. You can hear when someone near you has fired their gun. You can hear when it hits the ground and someone's missed you. And that can tell you a lot about how much time you have in order to basically make your own move. Tiger 1 being very forward here. And Low is in a nice position as long as his teammates survive. Which, if they're standing out in the open like that, is not really a given. Let's see. 2k damage into it. He's so far unharmed himself. And he's not really focused on taking out the guns, just about taking the HP. Being a little bit impatient there. Black Prince. Not going to survive for much longer here. But the VK will take a hit himself. And a little bit seriously, it's one of the best tanks in tier 8 in my opinion. It is heavy, it is troll. It can do a heck lot, as you will obviously see from this game. So his team is basically being obliterated. And that is one gun gone. And that is the first gun gone. And now it is 2 versus 5. His teammate is not looking too healthy. He kind of has to take out the guns as fast as he can. He takes a hit. Not really, he was standing out in the open though. But that is really nice. Not sure what his obsession is with changing the ammo so much. There you go, he takes a hit in the bum to take out a gun, which is a good call. And in this case he needs to push, because the sooner he gets behind that cover, the safer he is. And the T-34 knows that at this point. There you go, and now there's only the KV-4 left, but now he's a one-shot, and that is potentially very tricky. And he will need potentially 2 more shots unless he high rolls. That bounced out. Oh my god, he gets it in one shot. Very nicely done, bro. Yeah, exactly that. 7 kills, 5.1k damage in tier 8. Can't get much nuttier than that. That is insane. 1567 basic speed in tier 8. Like I said, 5.1k damage. That is insane. Very nicely done. Can't get a better carry than that. But now, in about 2 minutes, the room invite will be up, so I'm not going to be showing you any other replay. And not much to show you. Basically, there is one thing about this garage that really irks me. There's a dog that is barking, but there's no dog anywhere. You just hear him bark. And it annoys the blip out of me. If you have a dog bark, at least put the dog somewhere. But yeah, we have mushrooms next to that tree over here. Well, you can't actually see my mouse, but yeah, there's a butterfly. There is Russian singers. There's someone with a soul leaning against a tree, probably playing Blitz on his phone. We have a cook. We have a campfire and everything. But we don't have a dog that is barking, but we can hear him. So yeah, that is something. It annoyed me last year too, to be fair. And we had very different things there, but we still had the barking dog. So, now we just wait there. Oh no, that's actually a friend request. I don't look at the chat or friend requests and all of that. For now, I will check it out after the stream. Generally, I never trust that what someone is messaging me is actually something that I save to show on stream, so I don't do that. So now we just have to wait a tiny little bit before we go into the next matchup. Let's have a look at the updated point stuff, because that should be updated now. There you go. 3 points for Feast, 2 for E7, 2 for HLV, 2 for ID, and 1 point for RN, NUP, and EA, and 0 for Calm so far. So with that in mind, e7 versus Faust is actually a pretty important match. And I actually quite like that. I'm in e7 on this server. Which is kind of hilarious because I got a ticket to participate in the professionals. I don't actually play on the A7 server because my lag here is impossible to play with, because also it's not steady. But they did offer me a home last year and I've been in the E7 ever since. And even though they kind of like changed their names and are no longer proper princesses, they will always be the Disney princesses of my heart. 4 minutes left to go. And then we see this match. There's a 5-minute delay on the stream so people can safely show their lineups. That is also why there's a 5-minute delay, because the first room invite takes 5 minutes between getting the invite and a match starting. And to avoid anyone seeing anything of anyone, we are always using a 5-minute delay when we stream. So the first map that we go to is one of my least favorite maps of the whole game. That is Castilla. Castilla is pretty much the map where we see the most still-made gaming, because you have so many camper lines on both sides of the map. And it's just really, really boring. But there can be some interesting actions. We've seen some interesting games with this as well. And I kind of hope that we will see them today too. But we have base B in the middle, which is in the middle of the city. Generally protected by either mediums or light tanks on both sides of the end. Or super heavies, to be fair. But overall it is very hard to take and very hard to steal if someone does manage to take it. Then you have base A, which is considered the map base. And with that and the citadel, that is generally where we see the most movements. Base C is slightly protected. The positioning around it is not that good because there's tons of lines of fire in it, also from the campers on both sides. And that is one reason why C is pretty much ignored for the most part. So that is the map that we are starting on. And let me take that off so that it won't be blocking your game. E7 now steadily coming in with 2.5 minutes left to go. The names that E7 has changed the names into, though, a big sigh. Because of course if you're looking at Harry's name and you pronounce it like Faust and Americanish, you get like Harry Balls. And you have Jack Me Off and that kind of stuff, and I'm just like, why guys? Why? So I'll be just calling them Harry and Jack. And yeah, it goes further than that. You'll see it when you pronounce the names. But with 2 minutes left to go, Faust is completely ready in 2 IS-4s, an STB, a Sheridan, 2 T-22 mediums and an E5. I have a feeling that we're going to be seeing some actions around base A then, as I thought, because like I said, base C is pretty much ignored because it's not really the best for positioning. And on the other side we see a 1-1, 2 Sheridans, 3 E5s and a Foch. Actually, do note that Faust is not going to be taking any TD, so it will probably be Bruni that is going to be functioning as a camper tank. Potentially, we don't actually know. It could still be like a spotter. And we have 1 minute and 15 seconds left to go before we go into the match. Plenty of time. And basically not much else to say at this stage. Like I said, I'm not a fan of Castilla. It is one of the oldest maps around. It has not been changed, and in a way, yes, it can lead to interesting games. And in pub battles, I don't mind it that much. But with tournaments, there is just so many times where people are not really doing anything because there's campers on both sides. I wonder if it's going to be different now, though, with the fact that there's, aside from the Foch on E7 side, there's no real camper. And it kind of depends on where the Foch will go, because the Foch is mobile enough to make most positions work. 30 seconds left to go. Plenty of time. But both teams are ready, and the only thing that is not ready at this stage is the game itself. And then we will see the second matchup of this stream, of this tournament day. And also the last matchup of this tournament day. Here we go. Countdown clock has begun. We are ready to go into the game. Let's see. E7 all carrying the same avatar. That actually looks pretty neat. Mugu not even taking an avatar at all. And let's see, come on. It helps if we actually load into the game, because it's kind of hard to spectate it if the game is not starting. That is one reason, to be fair, why I love E7. They have been the cheekiest team that I've seen in this game. So we have Bruni actually going towards a base C spot. And both teams focusing primarily on the A side. Bruni all the way on top of the hill here. Catching sight of Gabletech and Pixels in base B. If they get away with capping that though, they need to be a little bit more careful. But if they get away with capping it, that will make it difficult for Feast. But Pixels did lose quite a bit of HP there. And they're running off and getting back to safety. Base A will be kept. The E5s are all heading up the Citadel. And basically with everyone on the Citadel or near the Citadel, base C is unprotected. But they're kind of expecting Bruni to be there. And he has been spotted. And he has just fired. So Pixels will have the first hit, which he does. And he is running off. Gabletech not penning that, but they are not necessarily chasing because they are expecting him to. Oh, deletion. Also on the other side. But that was a Sheridan double tap, and that is very, very deadly. Now they're being shot in the rear by Sleeping Lion. But CX has also been taken out. Feast has already lost 3 guns at this stage. E7 definitely bringing it. STB and T62A now versus each other. But there's so many guns on the Citadel here. They're actually pushing Sleeping Lion down. Cloudburst has been taken out. Maddox not in the best of positions here. Getting basically massacred by 3 guns. Now Maddox also haven't been taken out. Sleeping Lion being ignored. No, Pixel is turning around. Mugu on top, not being able to do much. Yeah, he definitely got wrecked. That explains his sudden disappearance. That was a missile derp. You shouldn't hit a corpse with a missile though, that is mean. RNG advantage, yes. And basically also, just that double tap on the Sharon, that was quite epic to see. Sleeping Lion still alive, just don't ask how. He is trying to manage it. Frost almost gone. There he goes. And now we have Sleeping Lion still alive, just don't ask how. Where did that missile go? No way! Dude! This is why missiles should not be in the game. Come on! That is just utterly ridiculous. That's just mad. I can't really name it. What the flip? Oh my god. So in a minute and a half we are going to go back for the second game in on Castilla. This is just nuts. Oh my god. And we see Feast has rounded up with 3 IS4s, 2 Sheridans, a 268 and an E5. They are taking that TD now. And on the other side we see 2 STBs, 1 Sheridan and potentially 4 113s. That is a lot of DPM, but it can be very tricky. But we'll have to wait 1 more minute before we go into the game and see what happens here. Again, there's not much pressure yet because it is a best of 7. So the first team that reaches 4 victories is actually the one that is going to get the points. But just that game, it was nuts. You have an ammo rack, you have the double tap with the sherries. And just, wow. But Sleeping Lion survived a lot longer than I thought he would. They basically just ignored him when he went down and decided to focus on the other things instead. Which, to be fair, it is understandable, but at the same time, it's kind of mean though. And then that missile! Just, what the F? Oh my god, I feel sorry for Faust for that one, to be fair. I really do. So, 16 seconds left to go before we go into the second game of this matchup, the second match on Castilla. And the ammo rack G9 is sitting this one out. And we'll see how it will go in now, actually. Not even 2 seconds, but just now. I like someone in the chat is also hating Castilla, so I'm not the only one that dislikes this map. But we just... Wow, what happened this last game was just weird. I can't really cause it any other way. Oh my god. So let's see. What is he talking about? Oh my god. So now we have Faust splitting up a little bit, but primarily focusing on the C side this time. And all of E7 going towards the A side. They're not bothering with base B. And Bruni is going to go up on the Citadel here. I still need to practice that so I can get up that way, because that's actually very handy. And the STBs are there. Bruni has no support whatsoever, and that could be very, very dangerous. He is there to spot them. And the moment that he spots one... Ooh, that did not actually pan. He is out of there, but this means that the rest of the Faust, if E7, sorry, is actually not being spotted. Cloudburst has to be careful though, where he is at. He does spot Miserable, who immediately takes a hit and falls off. Now Faust is capping base B. Where did that missile go? It absolutely went nowhere. But they kind of have to be careful though, because now Faust has a definite point advantage and a base advantage. So that's going to go up quite quickly, and E7 will have to make a move in order to take that advantage back. Gable tag moving in. The 113 is moving in as well. Missiles flying and hitting. Harry arriving now as well. They kind of have to safeguard base B. But they have to be careful. The 113s, they don't have the armor to hold that much. Mugu going around the back. But they have... Ooh, big hit into the cable tag there. Pixel moving in to cap base B and steal it. If he manages to get away with it though, that would be quite a feat. But Maddox is moving in. He does take a hit, but so does Pixels. And they kind of have to make a move. We have Harry pushing at the back with the 113s. E7 is bleeding HP all over. But they are together, and Faust is a bit more spread out, but they're in overall better positions. And basically people are... That was a fire. 2 tanks disappearing at the same time. And they need to focus fire a lot better than this. They need to take out those one-shots. But it's Harry that gets taken out first, and now Faust has a 3-gun advantage. Which is very telling. A 4-gun advantage here. Yuri surviving a little bit longer than he should. But he's not going to survive this reload. There you go. And now it is 2 versus 5. But they're not looking too good, and they're not in the best of positions. We have Jack moving in for the Sherry. Cloudburst being left alive, left alone. And they will take out the Sherry, but Cloudburst is basically getting shot in the rear. And that's not going to go that well. Cloudburst does actually take out Miserable though. And now it is... Oof, that is a fire that you don't want at this stage. Jack not going to survive this. Cloudburst also looking very unhealthy at this point. And there goes Jack. And now we only have a very unhealthy looking Cloudburst left. And there he goes. With a flying turret that lands right next to him. And if you are watching through, if you want to get season coins, you can only get season coins if you're from the Asia server. So you can stay out and hang out on YouTube as much as you want if you're not from the Asia server. So let's see. 1.5 minutes left to go before we go to the donut map. Let me actually grab that for you. This is New Bay. You have the giant donut near the green spawn here. And you have base B and C close to their respective spawns. Base A underneath the train track over there. Overall, I quite like this map, but it is so small. I would love for Wargaming to add some bigger maps because I think that would be a lot more fun. Overall, though, it is an interesting map. Lots of running around, lots of... Well, the ramps make it a little bit more Faust-ish. And I do love Faust. But the main highlight of this map is, of course, the giant pink donut that we will see, I think, the second match because we are starting on the other spawn. And we see that Feast is now ready up in a VK, a Leo, 2 IS4s, a Sherry, and a Mouse. And they're going to go up against 7 IS4s because why not? This is Feast. Feast is technically the most sound. They have the focus fire down and everything. But then you have E7, and this is exactly why I love it. They don't take things too seriously. Of course, they try their best, but they have kind of like a feeling for meme battles like this. And it can actually work out for them. I've seen them take 7 bad chats on vineyards and winning the game. It's insane, but it's so funny. So yeah, here we go into the match. Let's see what's happening this game around. Oh yes, happy Mother's Day to all it's appropriate for, because in most of Europe, I think, and most of the world, it's Mother's Day today. But with the whole lockdown everywhere and overall precautions, there's actually a giant big donut. You can't actually visit your mother anyway. At least I can't. So that's why I don't mind streaming here. So let's see what they're gonna do here. What the hell, Maddox? Feast. Focusing a bit on both sides. E7 completely ignoring base B. Going all together. Only one... Oh no, most of them have been spotted now. And they are pushing in. And it's gonna be interesting to see how this will go because they're pushing straight into Feast. Boone. Mugu. Taking some hits there. And E7 is actually a little bit careful here. Though they are chasing after Mugu. And now the IS4s are pushing in. Maddox pushing in with his VK, showing most of his flank to pretty much every side. This is not the best call that Maddox could have made. Especially not when Cloudburst is about to reload and finish him off. There you go. Now we have Mugu and the Sheridan arriving at the back. And this is something that I find that a lot of people make mistakes in. They are focusing the most heavy tank first, which in this case is the Mouse and of course the VK. And that is something that is very dangerous to do. Harry is not going to survive much longer here, but they have taken out the second tank now. And they want to take out Miserable. Harry is actually murdered to death by a hug. They are turning around, dishing it out to Frost. Bruni wanting to fire a missile, not actually penning that, which in this case is very important. Yuri getting that hit in is also very important because it takes out a gun even though he's losing his life as well. And it is 4 versus 4. And they kind of just need to decide who to shoot first because now they're shooting different targets and that's a very dangerous thing to do. Sleeping Lion does seem to be the preferred target though. And he does take another hit. We have Gable. Apparently it's Gabe Itch. So Gabe. That is taking a hit there. It is 3 versus 3. Bruni not looking too healthy here. But we have a mouse that is now being left alone. And Gabe kind of has to hurry it up because he's trying to chase a Sheridan. And at that point he's putting his own team at a bit of a disadvantage here. Especially projecting. They kind of need to stick together and work together. Projecting is going to be hugged to death here. There you go. And there goes the mouse. And they are taking base C now. Base B has been kept. Mugu gets away. Pixel's looking very, very healthy. Base A is probably going to be taken. They kind of need to just grab base B as well. Or, well, no, actually no. Feast just... Oh, stupid buildings. They just need to survive. They need to know that they're going to be at A. At least Pixel knows. So with Gabe going to base C, that is a good call. But now we have Pixel moving slowly towards base A. I'm going to try and show you what's happening here. But that is difficult. And now he can run off. And he does take a big hit there. But Pixel need to focus on the base, not the tanks here. Because the tanks will survive. And it's all about the bases at this stage. Mugu keeping Pixels spotted. And now E7 has all the bases. They need to survive. And they need to dominate all the bases. They need to be in a position to do so. Mugu turning around. Gabe potentially going to stream snipe the... Does that hit Bendo? He doesn't even try to. Base B now being taken. Mugu heading off towards base C. Gabe cutting them off. And this is something, if he manages to... Ooh, that does hit. But with 3 bases, it will be very difficult for Feast to win this, especially with Gabe. They kind of need to survive more. But Pixels is all the way at the back. If Gabe does not survive this, he takes out the Sheridan. Now there's only Mugu. And Mugu will have a top job. He can't do this alone. With both of them, they had the option. And now Pixel is arriving. And he takes him out. What a game, guys! This was... Well, aside from the donut business, this was the best game I've seen on this map. It was so clever the way that Bruni and Mugu kept running around, and they could have potentially made it happen, if not for the fact that basically, well, E7 was basically guessing where they would turn up. They were in the best positions to dominate all 3 bases, despite being in such slower tanks. This was absolutely brilliant, guys. Absolutely loved it. This is what I mean, though. They've done this before with 7 batchets on Vineyards, and now they're taking 7 IS4s on New Bay, and it is working out for them. It's insane, but it is. Less than a minute left to go before we go into the 4th match of this best of 7. And we see Feast sporting a VK, 2 Leos, 3 IS4s and a Mouse versus 7 IS4s. Because why change a winning team, eh? And you're just now starting that game. And I'm actually kind of curious what you guys think about what just happened. Because that is seriously... It's a brilliant game. And that's kind of the thing that I like about streaming tournaments. Because it's literally a whole other level of gaming. And in this case, I do think that if Feast had been less, let's just push into it, then they would have won it. But because they didn't. And then the 2 fast tanks being outsmarted by the IS4s, yeah. it can happen. And here we go into the game once more for the 4th game of the best of 7. The 2nd game on the donut map. Let's see. Oh god, I need to play Tekken again. And praise be to the donut. Let's see what's going to happen now with those IS4s. And just look at the fancy donut there. Feast. Mostly staying together now. Base B being taken by the Leos. Blind shot happening there. Not sure what he was firing at, what he expected anyone to be there yet. Oh, Bruni. Bruni not looking too healthy. Bruni is not going to survive this. There he goes. First tank out almost instantly. And now we have Gabe going after Faust. But he's going to be hit by Miserable as well, so he has to be a little bit more careful. But the rest of Feast is arriving. And they're leaving Maddox for what it is. They're pushing through, going to protect Gabe. Gabe is actually pushed away, which is actually not a good thing here, because he's going out of the support fire from his team. And actually blocking shots from his own team. So Gabe is pretty much sacrificing himself here. And again, they're focusing on the mouse first. This is something they should not do. There is no reason for them to do this. There goes Gabe. Jack is not that far behind. Frost going to be taken out as well. But not before Jack. Both teams have lost 2 guns. But Feast is in a tricky position here. And again, they are focusing on the heavily armed targets. Well, that is what you should just have to survive, basically. Let them live, take them out last. Cloudburst not looking too good either. Miserable now steadily being taken out, but Cloudburst is gone. And now Harry can potentially take... No, there goes the mouse. It is 4 versus 4. Projecting is on his own. Pulling back towards his team. Yuri. Angling. Basically now Feast has the upper hand. They have to focus fire. Sleeping Lion arriving behind. Oh, CX being absolutely brutally murdered here. And, oh god, I hate these buildings. I'm trying to show you all that is happening. They are leaving CX alive for too long. Projecting is gone. And there goes CX though. And 7 pixels is not going to survive this either. It is 2 versus 2. None of the bases have been capped. And they kind of just need to focus and make sure that all the shots count. Harry is being the primary target here. Harry facing off against Sleeping Lion, trusting Yuri to take out Maddox. And it does. And now it's just Sleeping Lion that is left. Base B being contested. Yuri going straight on in. He does not have the issue that Harry does with the low HP. Harry just needs to be careful here. Because he's a one-shot now. And he's going to be taken out. There you go. So now it is IS4 versus IS4. Let's see if this is a better angle. Yuri taking it that they have to be careful to make all the shots count at this stage. Too many corpses in the way. There you go, that's better. And basically they will both be shooting Primo at this stage. Aiming the gun at each other's gun can make people bounce. Oh, that bounced though, and now Sleeping Lion is at a definite disadvantage. What the hell? Ooh, that bounced though. And now Sleeping Lion is moving in. But there you go, Yuri takes it home. And the match is for e7. And again, the 7 is4 lineup works. Oh my god. 6.4k damage for Sleeping Lion. No, that is nuts. And now the pressure is on Feast, because Feast has to win the next 3 matches in a row in order to get the point for this matchup, whereas e7 just has to win 1 more match. And we are moving to Winter Malinovka. Winter Malinovka looks something like this. You have 3 bases, base A in the mat side, base B and C more on the heavy side. And basically anything can happen. Well, that's the case for any of these team games, but yeah. With a super heavy lineup, I would expect them to focus more on the BC area than A and B, because those bases are harder to dominate together than the other way around. So let's take away the map so that it's not on your screen. And we see Feast has readied up in 2 IS4s, 2 Leos, an E5 and 2 mice, and they're going to go up against a 1-2-1, 2 T62As and 4 IS4s. So let's see what they're going to do with this in about 4 seconds. But it's just, oh my god. Those 2 games just now, they were just nuts. I like it. So let's see, 25 seconds left to go before we go into potentially the last match of this matchup, because it all depends on what is going to happen here. Because if e7 wins this match, they have the point. Dun 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 dun. Let's see, here we go into the game. In the meantime, I'm getting tag places. I will check them after the game, after the stream, I should say. And let's see. I'm actually pretty excited about these matches. It is out of the box thinking, and I like that. Yeah. So let's see. Feast, like I said, focusing on the on the B and C side, and we see that they're leaving 2 Leos more in the middle to see where the rest is going. E7 spotted as they go over. Harry going after the mouse. Base B being kept, but they're not actually focusing on that. I think they want the juicy Leo there. Gabe taking a cheeky shot into the mouse there. Oof, Frost not looking too healthy there. Basically E7 is playing so aggressively. This is not really how I'm used to them, but I absolutely enjoy watching it, to be fair. Oof, Gabe being absolutely murdered, just crossing over. There goes Gabe, but CX is also gone. And Pixels is not long behind, there you go. And there goes Frost. Both teams have lost 2 guns. Bruni now the preferred target. Oof. Yuri gone first. E7 is too spread out here. Not shooting the same target because they're not in the sight of the same target. Cloudburst still alive but barely. How? I've no idea how he missed that one. I think that was lag. But it's now 4 versus 5, and basically E7 was too aggressive here, but at the same time not aggressive enough. It's too spread out. Not shooting the same target. Again, focusing on the mouse. Guys, come on. Leave the most armor targets to the last one, because that is actually going to help you, because you will pen more shots if you're shooting the not so armored tanks. And they're not shooting the same targets either. That is also going to be an issue. Projecting is going to be out of here. And now Jack is the last one alive. He can't get Bruni. He can't really get anyone. And even Bruni takes a cheeky shot into him. And the game is for Faust. Wow. So it is getting a bit closer now. It is 2-3. Faust will have to win 2 games in a row to get the point. E7 only has to win 1 more to get it. And this was basically, they were too spread out. They had too many tanks of theirs alone, basically, which allowed Faust to capitulate on that, because they were closer together, had better positioning, better cover, so it was harder for E7 to push them. And E7 is now ready with 2 Sheridans, 3 IS4s, an E100 and a T62A, and they're going to go up against 3 IS4s, 2 Leos, a 113 and a mouse. So they're leaving behind one of the mice, which I think is a good call, because the mice haven't really given them all that much of an advantage this today. But let's see. Basically, actually no. The mice have given them an advantage because E7 keeps trying to kill them first. I still don't get that. But yeah. We'll see what happens in about 40 seconds before we go into the game. And we'll see what happens. Again, at least we're getting plenty of games with this matchup, and that's actually great fun. Because if you watched, I think it was an hour and a half already, you should have gotten all the rewards for watching the stream on the portal. Which means that there is plenty of... well, basically everyone should have the rewards by now. I try to stream for the minimum amount of time for people to get the maximum rewards at least. But here we go. Countdown has started. We are going into the game. Again, potentially the last game of this matchup, but we will see. E7 will have to pull together better. So let's see. I'm kind of curious, because this is basically E7 was performing so well until this very last game. Yes, they are. So let's see what's going to happen. What is Faust going to do this time around? They seem to be focusing more towards the base A side, whereas most of E7 is heading towards the base C side. Blind shots happening into the bush, but no one has been spotted yet aside from Mugu. And pretty much Faust is being spotted going over, and now Frost is taking some damage. And if this shot pans, that's going to be taking a chunk of health out of him. It does. Base B and C are both being taken. Gabe losing some HP though. He is not in the best of position, but it is a difficult base to cap. But if he manages it, that means that E7 has a definite advantage here in points and bases. And Cloudburst taking a hit there. Gabe has to get out of there. Cloudburst has to be more careful here. And Faust is basically in a down position aside from the mouse and the IS4 that are now pushing in. But it could be that if they're pushing in, it could be quite dangerous because they're pushing in alone and the rest of Faust is not there. And that could be very tricky. CX moving into base B here. Maddox losing a bit more HP. Base B being stolen, which in this case could be very tricky. Frost losing HP, decapping the base though. Cloudburst is not going to survive this one. And they will have to move in fast. They need to take out these tanks. Big hit into CX there. But again, E7 focusing on the most heavily armored tanks. I don't get it. Basically now the Leo is being caught. Oof, there goes CX. But overall, E7 is losing a ton of HP for this. There goes Yuri. And that's already cost them 2 guns here. They need to focus on the same targets. Again, the epic E7 that we saw the first few matches seems to be disappearing now. Frost still alive, but there he goes. There goes projecting. It is 4 versus 5. It is 4 versus 3. But Pixels is not looking too healthy and he gets caught. Jack reloading. They have the bases if Gabe stays alive, which in this case is not likely to happen. He kind of just needs to survive, but there's too many targets here. There goes Jack. And with so many guns in front of you, that's not gonna go well. Bruni arriving at the back. Mugu, it's being taken out, but we are at 840 points. There are 3 guns left and he's bleeding HP quite badly. And there we go, Bruni takes him out. And now we go to another tiebreaker for tonight. But this is kind of the thing I don't understand. They were doing so well, and these last 2 games they more or less just threw it. Just being not coordinated, not holding together. But we are going to go to Oasis Palms now. Oasis Palms looks like this. You have 3 bases. Base A in the upper left corner, base B in the town, and base C in the desert. Position wise, I much prefer the desert side, but as it's supremacy, you kind of need to dominate 2 bases at the same time, and that can be a little bit tricky when you have when you basically only have domination of 1 base in the desert. So I'll take the map away so that's not blocking your screen. We have just over 1 minute left before we go into the game. And we see that Feast is ready up with 3 IS-4s, 2 Leos, an E5 and a T22 medium. And they're going to go up against 2 Sheridans, 2 E100s and 3 IS-4s for the tiebreaker game. And basically the points are very important, especially between these 2, because so far they are part of the leader area, so to speak, of the leaderboard. And it can be very vital to get this point. Especially for this Feast, which is, for all intents and purposes, the best clan of the Asian server. They've been to every offline, well actually no, the first one was ID. But after that, it's always been Feast, and Feast has pretty much always finished first. So it is tricky for them, for E7 to do this, but they can do it. They've done epic things before. So we'll see. 7 seconds left before we go into the match for this tiebreaker. And here we go. If the game actually loads me in. There you go. And it will be all about that focus fight. This is something that I know Feast has been training for such a long time, and they've basically, this is what puts them above almost every other clan in the Asia server, and why they've performed so well, because that is something that they've been training for and that they've been working on, rushing together, focus firing the same tank. And that's always why it's with Feast, it's easy to tell if they have a day off or not, an off day I should say, because then the focus fire would not be there. And we saw that during one of the ascents. Of course, for the ascents it wasn't that important. There goes a missile that goes into the ground. Pixels now needs to not be there. Oof, Mugu getting murdered for attempting to shoot Pixels. But as Pixels runs away, he does get shot in the bum once more. Gabe actually pushing in to cap that base. Very tricky position though, he has to be careful. I think he wants to basically draw them in. E7 spread out most of Feast in the desert. Gabe pretty much on his own, with some cover fire behind Mind, but still. And we see that Leos are going around, projecting now, and Yuri ready to support Gabe. But they have to be careful. Base B is being left alone. We have the Leos at the back. Cloudburst here on the ridge. And now Leos are going to be moving in, and I wonder how that will go. Oh, big hit into Mugu. And he gets away with it without being shot. Base C now being kept again as Feast pulls back. And this is very tricky because that will give them a definite advantage. Frost actually not penning that allows them to get their base. And that means that Gabe has now given E7 a base advantage. And he is losing HP for it. He needs to pull back. We have Yuri at the back to support him. But he has to be careful pulling back. And use that rock. Stay where he is. Use that advantage. They are stealing base C. But they are losing quite a bit of HP over it. Especially with the tanks behind there. They will eventually get it, but they're occupying some of the tanks, and now they have it. Pixel's losing quite a bit of HP, Maddox as well. The Sheridans are moving in. CX losing HP. But basically they kind of have to be careful. That was... What were you doing, Cloud? You lost so much HP, especially now you turned yourself into a one-shot there, just by ramming. But look at the HP difference. There is so much HP advantage for E7. And if they manage to take this, then E7 gets a very important point. Gabe is not looking too healthy. But both teams have lost 2 guns now, and there's about a 5k difference in HP in favor of E7. Frost taking a hit as he tries to drive up. We have the E5 at the back. Base B is being kept, and that will give E7 that advantage again. And basically they need to start shooting the same target. They need to make it work. Because Feast is dangerous in positions like this. They can do it. Frost, basically Yuri sacrificing himself to get that shot into Frost. And that is very dangerous here. Jack still alive. Well, at least Frost still alive. By a low roll from Jack. Jack pushing in now. Taking out Frost. Base A is being stolen. Feast is definitely pushing in. Miserable trying to keep them from getting points from base B. Feast now has 2. Oof. Feast has 2 bases right now. And E7 will have to make a move there. But there goes Miserable. And they are now going after Sleeping Lion, who does not have the time to get out of there. Especially when he pushes back. We are 960 points versus 555. As long as Feast stays alive, and they have no reason not to, they will win this game. Especially with that kill shot. E7 takes home the point, and what a game! Oh my god. That was close though. Again, not when you look at it like this, where you see how many guns survive, but Feast is dangerous when it comes to things like that. They almost pulled it back towards them, but E7 basically got back into shape in this match with in comparison to the 2 previous matches. And they got the point. Brilliant games all around though. All 7 games actually. I quite like them. Some obvious mistakes is oh my god. Some obvious mistakes on both sides, but overall just really well played. So let's see if the score thing has properly updated yet. So that means that E7 has 4 points now. But then you have Feast with 3, so that's 7. And I think that means we miss 1 more point. ID 2. I think we need 16. I'm so bad with this. Let's have a look actually. We'll just have a look, that's easier. So EA took a point versus ID. ID did not do well today, so they have 2 points. That's their final score. Then we have Oren. That did bad last time and did great this time, so that's their final score as well. We have Nup. Let's see. Nup also has 2 points, that's also their final score. Hasta la vista. I can't pronounce it normally, actually. That's also their final score. And yay. And that's also their final score. So Calm so far has 0 points. E7 now leading the leaderboard with 4 points. And Feast closely following with 3. But the rest still has 2. Anything can still happen on this point. This was only the second day, of course. So pretty much like I said, anything can happen. And it's not about leading the scoreboard per se. Because it's more about getting to that top 4. So that is it for me tonight. I will call it quits for now. All the games are over for today. And I will be back tonight in about 5 hours to stream the EU server. Wargaming decided to suddenly change the rules mid-game. Well, sort of not necessarily the rules, but change what they were doing mid-game. And whereas before all the streams were announced in-game, now only the coin stream gets announced in-game. I will be announcing all the streams on my Discord server and in the tournament channel on the big server so that you know who is streaming who and where. So, basically, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I definitely did. Thank you all so much, especially Feast and E7 for these very lovely games. And I'll be seeing you guys in 5 hours for EU. Bye bye!